Matty T, and you're watching The Blues Connection, and today our guest is Herman Wilson. Herman, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Herman is a saxophone extraordinaire, and tell me, Herman, how did you get started in music?
I got started playing music. I think it goes back to when I was 3 years old. I've always had a fascination and love for music, and I always would be able to put music into certain time sequences, what was going on at that time, and I was associated with music. But my parents would play the stereo, and I'd always be in there. I would come in from outside because they were going to cut on the stereo. You know, just the whole fascination with sound and music and what was heard on the radio. You know, and at probably a young age, I learning about culture and being a kid, you know, I'd watch American Bandstand, you know, those types of things, just picking up what it is. But I always loved and wanted to play music, you know.
That's what you are. You're a music maker.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah. Let me ask you, I'm just curious. When you listen to music, is it more important, well, I guess my point is, are you a high fidelity listener, or are you happy when you can hear, like, kind of bad car radio? Can you enjoy the music off that as much as?
Absolutely. I understand what fidelity is, but, you know, I read this thing today, and they said if you take the music from this, if you bring the music from the soul, you can hear it throughout the universe. You know, and so if it's from the soul and it's something that's heartfelt and I feel that, I'll listen to it on whatever.
Right.
You know?
Because you can hear it.
Yeah, and you can feel it too.
Right.
And that's,
Yeah, my experience personally, that's how I am. That's why I asked you that question.
yeah.
Grew up with a bad radio. I didn't even care. Grew up with a bad stereo. It was lift up.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'd lift the needle and listen. And people say, it sounds terrible. I don't care. I can hear the notes. And I know it in my head what it's supposed to sound like. So that's what I enjoy.
Right.
That's how I view it, but or how I hear it. Yeah. Just curious if you felt.
Oh, absolutely.
If you experience it the same way.
Absolutely.
So we were talking earlier before we started the segment on, you know, where you're from. Who are you?
Basically, I am the son of an Air Force officer, and my mother was a educator. Both met in Atlanta, Georgia, in school, in part of college. But my dad's thing, he always wanted to fly, so the military would lean towards that. I didn't share, well, I did enjoy flying, but I really love music more in culture. I guess I could grasp that and I could identify with that. And it was more functional for me, sound and stuff as far as than an airplane at the time. I had more, seems like more of a use for that.
Right. Where were you born?
I was born in Fairbanks, Alaska. Yeah, gold.
Did you like it there?
Actually, from what I remember, I kind of did, but it was the thing where you you're in a situation and you're just there. I thought when I was up there, I thought sunlight lasted forever in the summertime. You know,
right.
Yeah. In the wintertime, wasn't as long, but it didn't matter because it was cold outside. You know.
Right.
But we moved from there. We moved to Sacramento. From Sacramento, we moved to Nashville. Nashville, we moved to Hampton, Virginia. Columbus, Ohio. Cape Cod, Massachusetts.
When did you live in Sacramento?
When I was 3. Probably when I really started listening. You know, when the music started.
Right.
You know, I would say I was.
That's where I lived when I lived.
Really?
Yeah.
You know, something about Sacramento. I don't know, but yeah, that's where I can remember a lot of sounds and stuff like it because I hear tunes now, and they just have a familiarity or a basis to me. I'm like, wow, whoa, and I look back, see when it came out, and say, yeah, I know where I was. I know what was going on.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Very cool. So you play the saxophone. You play any other instrument?
Well, I started playing the sax, I think, at age 11. And my first instructor happened to be his name was Charles Banakis, who was an amazing clinician teaching at Berkeley School of Music. And Miles Davis said, if you don't know Charles Banakis, you don't know music. That was my first instructor, you know.
Good credentials?
Yeah. It's in Massachusetts. But, you know, and I did that. But then when you move out into a neighborhood, you're always trying to identify with the culture, you know, or what's going on at the time. And everybody was playing guitars. So you had to play guitars to have a conversation. You better start playing Black Dog, just to be able to have that conversation.
Right.
You know.
So you play guitar as well?
I did.
You did?
I did. I played good. Yeah.
Okay.
You know, I remember there's a drummer that will tell you a story if you ever talked to Daryl Leslie. Daryl will tell you one time to jam, I walked, it was probably 2 miles to Phil Green's house and got a twin reverb amp and carried it by hand to steps, set it down to steps, set it down.
Oh my God.
That it was like an hour and a half just to play. But it was more so peers, you know, that I played guitars more talking.
Right.
Yeah.
What is your, do you have a favorite style to play with, as far as two?
And as far as guitar?
No, as far as your saxophone.
My sax, I have a favorite style.
Or what would you consider yourself as? Do you consider yourself in a certain genre? Or
I'm more. I'll and you'll see. I'll play anything. You know, my genre seems to be music, and I just like to play. I've done Balkan music. I've played in a ranchero band. We played, you know, quinceañeras and stuff like that. I played in a fusion band. I played in jazz group and some blues, of course. I've done blues. I've done R&B also. But I just enjoy playing, you know. So that's, again, that could be that military from places.
right, adapting to different
Yeah,
styles.
you know, and enjoying different styles.
Right.
You know, because if you went through my iPod, you'd find anything like it.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Very interesting.
Yeah.
You're watching the Blues Connection. I'm Matty T. Thanks for watching. We'll be right back. Hi, you're back with the Blues Connection and our guest, Herman Wilson. We're having a nice conversation with Herman. Herman, you play the saxophone. Why do you play the saxophone? Why is that the instrument? Was there an artist or two that caught your attention?
Well, I think in my household growing up, there were two horn players that my dad liked. One was Cannonball Adderley, and he was from Tampa, Florida. Went to Florida A&M. And the other was David Fathead Newman, you know, and he played with Ray Charles. And the association with them as players. How I got the saxophone was the first decent report card I had as a kid. They called an uncle up who had an instrument because I didn't know what instrument I was going to play. I thought I was going to play French horn or baritone horn. I didn't know what I was going to do. But they sent the saxophone out, and then I looked at every album my parents had that had a saxophone on it and began to associate with like that. So that's how it worked.
Did you learn a lot on your own? Was it mostly
taught
to you?
I learned some things on my own, but I studied with Charles Banakis. That was the first instructor I had.
Was he from day one? You got an instructor pretty early on? Or?
Pretty much that.
Yeah.
And then because I was like really trying to catch up, I was behind.
How old were you?
I was 11, but there are other kids who were like 9 years old. They had band on it.
Yeah.
So I had to, at one time I had him, Charles, and another gentleman in Falmouth, Massachusetts at the time. But it really paid off because the first year I'm playing in a 6th grade, 7th grade band. Next year I'm playing in a high school band. So, I worked hard and made,
Right. Right. Did you learn about improvisation, soloing techniques from your instructors, or did you learn about that on your own? Did you listen to listening to music and figure out I want to solo or be a soloist?
Well, it's interesting you listen to music and you hear the basis of the song, but then there's a part of having a signature of the song, owning a song, and you telling a story. It's like I could talk all day, oh man, I went down, I couldn't believe I rode the roller coaster, blah, 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 blah. Your experience would be slightly different. You might add something into it that was different, but it's like, man, I need to check that roller coaster out. And it's the same thing with what I figured out about improvisation. My parents have a great story. When I was in kindergarten, we were going to sing a song, My Bonnie Lies Over the Ocean, right? And they were singing, da 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 da. And the teacher looked at me and I was shaking my head like this. And she said, well, Herman, what's wrong? I said, that's not how the song goes. She said, well, that is. No. I said, no. And she said, well, do it. I went, ba-dum-dum-dum-dum. My Bonnie lies over the ocean. Because the only person I heard do it was Ray Charles, So she actually came over to our house, a couple days and had to hear that. But in a way, that's kind of like setting the table about improvisation. It's the storytelling and owning something.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you're soloing, are you somebody that works things out, or are you are an improv guy? I've seen you.
Yeah.
You play to anything.
Yeah.
And so I guess my point is, you just let it flow out of you. Do you feel like it's coming through you? Do you feel like are you a split second ahead of the music? So as you're thinking, you're playing what you just thought. How do you view that? How do you improvise?
For me, what I look at it is it's almost like you're riding a wave, and depending how the wave starts, it's going to tell you where you're going to go, and you're going to go trust the wave to carry you to flow, blah 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 blah, and you find it in there, and that's what I do. It's funny you should say that. I never wrote out improvisation. I would never write it out. Although I had a guy that was trying to produce me to do smooth jazz, said, you need to write your solo out. I said, no. Then it's not a solo. Then it's not, you know what I mean? It's not in the moment. And I like to be present. That's one thing that I try to, being in the moment.
Right.
Being present.
Interesting. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hope that, but listening.
Yeah.
Some will, and some won't. The ones that don't, well, they're never going to solo like Herman Wilson.
But they'll solo like
them.
And it's like, I figured it out. Well, I didn't figure it out. Miles Davis actually said, you spend your whole life trying to play like yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what I'm doing.
And you know when you're doing it, and you know
Mhm.
when you're not.
Yeah. Exactly.
When you're having those days, and do you have days where, I assume you do, things aren't flowing like they did the night before, or
God, yeah.
and you just wait. To me, I just feel like I'm going to play and wait
It's funny.
for it to come.
Yeah, there's a horn player. When I was having problems, like I'm having problems with MS, and I talked to Michael Brecker, and he told me, he said, you know what you do? You find the one thing that you can do, and you get in there, and you just do it. You do what you can do and go where you can go, So, and that's one of the things that I do, even when I'm having a bad day, or if it's going really long. And a lot of times, I don't know if my fingers are going to work or something like that. I will say, well, let's go to where we can go, You know, and that's what I try to do with my improv. You know, when you're improvising and you're
Right.
playing, go where you can.
Go where you can.
You know, go, because man, you can say something about it.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I have problems with from carpal tunnel to
Yeah.
swelling, inflammation.
Yeah.
And I know I can't do certain things. So yeah, I walk up to the edge and say, can I go another step?
Mm-hmm.
And then my body will let me know, no, you better not go past that technical ability. You know, stay within, and then improv in that
Yeah.
area. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. It's kind of like you get the opportunity to. You were planning on going into there. You can't go into there.
Right.
So what I need to do is I need to create there, here,
Right.
and it's about being present.
Right.
You know, being
okay.
in
Yeah,
where
I
you
get
are.
what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah. How can you do how can you create something that you want to create?
Right.
You can change your mind on what you want to create.
Right.
I'm going to create this now.
Yeah.
And forget. We're not going over there.
And it's all good.
Right.
It's all good. Yeah.
And often, by not being able to do something, you did something even better with what you decided you could do,
Mhm.
or what you're able to do. You came at it maybe come at it at a different angle, which you wouldn't have thought of had you had your regular chop that you were trying to get to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, and you know how you say, that's what art is. Art is expression. And when we kind of like, we go to change that expression, if we I'm trying to mold it, you know, anticipate it, then it's a different kind of art. And I find people are grasp you when you were in the moment.
Yeah. How do you feel when you think about labeling, or labeling people with this person, he's a jazz guy, this guy's a blues guy, this guy's a rock guy, this guy's a. What do you think about that kind of stuff?
Well, I'll tell you something. This is a true story. I remember when I was like 15. I used to listen to Stanley Clarke play with Joe Henderson and me playing the blues and doing upright bass, and I would hear him. But then I saw Stanley Clarke. I heard a Stanley Clarke playing with Deodato, like that almost like would be like smooth jazz or something like that. And the first thing I said, there are two Stanley Clarkes in the world, because now the one I like is the one that's playing upright bass and really going at it. But the thing is, you can't really label. You just try to accept them where they are at that present moment when you hear them.
Right.
And that's something I've had to learn to acquiesce and grasp over time.
And all you really know of somebody is what you've seen.
Right.
And how many times have you seen this person?
Right.
And you saw them for 2 or 3 hours.
Right.
And on a particular night. What did they do the day before or the day after?
Right.
All their whole life before that. And what do they like?
Right.
You don't know if they're playing right now, and obviously they probably like what they're playing. But what else do they like, and what else have they worked on, and people have no idea. How did you get interested in blues?
Well, my first interest, I took a course in college with Angela Davis, black women in music. And a lot of the times, the first start were blues women that played or sang the blues, and that was the first kind of like formal where you're studying the blues and blues as a music and what it is. And I learned about people like Alberta Hunter, Victoria Spivey, Bessie Smith. And the interesting thing is, Bessie Smith and my mom come from the same town, Chattanooga, Tennessee, which was the first time I saw a blues group actually playing. They used to rehearse across the street. And so that was my introduction to the blues.
Did they have horn players, or were they?
No, this was like just guitar, bass,
Yeah.
players. They had that attitude.
Yeah.
They had attitude. But I mean, it was good. That's what it's
Did you
about.
go over and watch them?
I did, even though I wasn't
That's
supposed
where the attitude
to.
came in?
Yeah, no, well, yeah, but it's more so with each other, you know. But I mean, they knew where they were trying to go.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I would go over, you know, I wasn't supposed to, and pay so like something you go ahead and do it. It's worth the risk.
Right.
You know? So I would hang out and hear them. But my first playing in a blues group happened in 1998, and I played with Luther Allison's bass player. He had a group, and his name was Jake Sampson. And I ended up doing blues in the North Beach every like Saturday night, and I had never experienced anything like this, and it would kill me just playing 1-4-5. But you had to do different things with 1-4-5. You had to make a different statement each time in 1-4-5. You know, and
that's where the difficulty comes in.
Yeah, and it like I said, there were times where I would leave the stage playing, and I was lying down and sleeping, and then I'd hear this music in the background calling my name, and it was them yelling to me from the stage that I needed to play. But it just took so much, and I learned so much. It was like going to like a cram session. But from there, I played Great American Music Hall, what's the John Lee Hooker's Club, Biscuit and Blues, played Yoshi's, even did Winterland. Not Winterland. What's the other one?
The Fillmore?
The Fillmore, that's it. I still called it Winterland, yeah. But I mean, all of these we playing the blues, and even did a couple of Monterey Blues festivals. One was main stage, you know. But
who have you played with?
Who have I played with? Gosh. Oh man, if I did, well, I think you know, like Tommy Castro. I'm trying to think other blues people that were side men with some of the big people, I guess. B.B. King, I played with one of his drummers. I can't think of, for some reason, I would be able, any other time, I'll be able to think off camera and say, yeah, I played with so-and-so, now we're on camera.
Well, maybe think of the gig that you played, and then you might, who you did the gig with.
A gig with, just, I don't know, people.
Herman Wilson.
I'm sorry.
Plays with people.
I'm playing with people. You know,
on the big stages.
How
do you do
I
that?
just can't.
All right, that's okay, man.
I can't.
Don't worry about it.
Most of it
I'm
was,
the same way.
was around with Jake Sampson. That's where I played the most.
Okay.
The big stuff was with him.
When was that?
That was 98, 99, Monterey Blues.
Okay.
And then I played with Al Bond. We did the Monterey Blues on the big stage. That was
That was fun, huh?
I freaking believe it. You know, because there are people that have such a love about the blues because it's so much reflective of their lives, of what they've experienced. And you know, the people that come to the festivals and they're there, they know it because they live it. You know, and so when you get that energy at a festival, you know, it's like at the blues festival on stage. I mean, Ray Taliaferro standing next to me, talking to me, and we're just chopping it up. And then the next time I'm on stage, playing, you know, and it was.
It's a great moment.
Oh God, yeah. You know, if you never have given yourself like a validation or anything like that, when you get out there, you get it back.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was something I couldn't even, you can't really express in words.
How's your hearing?
My hearing?
After all these years of playing music with guys like me that play too loud.
Yeah. I wish you played too loud. No, I mean, no, there's some people, you know, my hearing's really good. I have good pitch. I mean, I just played with Lenny Williams last weekend, you know, senior with Tower Palace.
Mm-hmm.
And deciding on a song to do, we just immediately start going into blues. you know, but he said afterwards, he said, God, you have an incredible ear, you know, and that's one of the things I have, and it has not been destroyed too badly, you know,
Right.
with my music. So I don't have that problem. I know there are people that have ringing all the time and all types of stuff, but I've been very blessed not to experience it. As a progression of my multiple sclerosis,
Right.
I can't
It's
play
cut
guitar.
down on that stuff.
Guitar, can't do that anymore. I mean, people still ask, there are people that ask me if I play guitar, do you, hey, you play. Or the keyboards, and that gets really frustrating because I would used to write off the piano.
Right.
You know, so.
You want to talk about your MS? Or?
I don't mind.
Okay.
Whatever we talk about, we'll
Whatever
talk
you-
about whatever you want to talk. This is your
No,
time.
it's about you, man.
Oh, yeah.
That's the deal.
Okay, yeah,
That's
sure.
the deal. So,
Sure,
you know,
sure. Can I talk about Buddhism?
whatever you want.
Okay.
Okay,
Sure.
let's roll. Well, we're rolling now. Well, we're going to talk about Buddhism.
Yeah.
I'm interested.
It's a funny thing, my daughter probably first studied with her mom when she was really young, and that's Nichiren Buddhism. I started studying in '09, and the person that brought me in, the person who shakabuku'd me, was Orlando Cepeda. I took a phone call from him that got through where I was working, which is highly sensitive. It was the only phone call that ever got through was from him. And it really changed me, and it's allowed me to live more, you know, than I lived in the past. And I'm taking that to my music, you know, playing the expression. It's been a very beautiful day, you know. Namyo Horinge Kyo. That's one of the things. But that's probably something that's value added to me in my life, and it's made it so much more enjoyable playing because of this. I'll say that that's the one thing that's lifted me up in what I'm going through, say, physically, and the challenges that I get.
When were you first diagnosed with this?
I was diagnosed in July 5th, 1990. My first symptom was May the 12th, 1988, 6:13 p.m. at Pleasant Hill, California Community Center, playing for a wedding. Yeah, that's when the first symptom happened. I got numbness here, lost my lip, and then I started moving my arm. I found out in 1990 I had progressive degenerative, which means the progression of degeneration increases over time. And I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to manage and maintain this.
Do you take medication to help you with that, or
Yeah.
what do you do?
Play music. There you go. No, I think I'm one of those, I'm really blessed, or I'm really fortunate that I have taken this MS and I've used it to work for me. It's going to be here with me, and it's enhanced my life in so many different ways. You know, I don't
Has
take
Buddhism helped you see that?
absolutely.
Would you have seen that without?
I don't
Or
think.
did you view it that way?
I didn't view it that way at all. Because you say, God, I got this stuff in me. I want to be cured. Give me a drug. Give me something. This is horrible, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you lose focus and basis of accepting who you are. You don't see this. You see this horrible thing going on. But then I said, wait a minute. This MS happened within me. This is a part of me, just like something else. And if you could take this one thing I learned in the Buddhist study, If you can take poison and change it into medicine, that gives you that added value in your life. And that's basically what I do. Even playing now, I have problems, and I thought about changing keys to make it easier. And I said, no, I would just take a different approach to how we do this. Instead of seeing this as B flat, and we need to see it as C sharp. You know, and accessing into it like that. And so I've been able to do that with my music. And so my spirituality has become this sense of one. You know, I'm been lucky by that, I guess.
I ran into you one time in the hallway down in the club. Just a hallway that ran to the restrooms.
Oh.
And it was real, on the other side of the door was where the music was.
Mm.
Really loud out there. And nobody could hear you. I didn't know you were in there. And so I walked in the hall and said, use the restroom, and you were in there blowing your horn.
Oh.
Working something out.
Oh.
And you probably don't remember. It was like 5 or 6 years ago.
Whoa, okay.
And I just sat there, and I just smiled, enjoyed it, because you didn't know I was there for a while.
Oh.
And I didn't really know you at the time. Just said hi.
Yeah.
But I could see that you were working things out. You were
Space. Just utilizing that space. You know, see finding where I am. You know, I'm going out there playing, but finding where I am, and that's one thing that I love doing. You know, so yeah, I'll go into a bathroom or into a room off the side if I can do that. I just check my space, and it's a way of checking it.
Have you been to a mountaintop and played on it?
I have. Matter of fact, I used to, every year in the fall, I used to go up to Gualala, you know, Mendocino,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd always pull over in this one area and walk down. It was just walk. And I'd start playing my horn by the water. It's overcast and everything. First thing I know, I'm playing. I look over. There are 3 seahorses. So I keep playing. I look over. I keep playing. I look over again. There's 13. And I just keep staying there because I'm more present in connecting with me and to this time that they developed and that they were there. And it was just beautiful. You know, so I've done that. I just recently in April, I had a thing of, I wanted one of my bucket list things, I wanted to play in front of the Eiffel Tower in Paris. So in April, I did. Went to Germany, then took the ice train to Paris, and I'm standing in front of the Eiffel Tower playing April in Paris.
Nice.
Just wanted to do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, yeah, I have gone to.
I've gone to the mountaintop and played.
Oh gosh.
Good for you.
Oh yeah, sure.
Hey, let me ask you about your horn.
Mm.
Do you have one particular one? Do you have several? Do you have
I have
one that got away?
I have I play with the Selmer Mark 6. That's the horn that I use. I have 2 of them. I have one that's 1970, another one's 74. 74 is just an incredible horn for me. They'll have fingering, but it just talks with me. You know, the feel is good. And a lot of times people say, "Well, God, it must be a good horn or something," but it's not the horn necessarily that what the label is. It's a matter if you connect with it. I have another good friend of mine. He plays with Paul Hardcastle, and he's lonely his horn to play with. But I play this horn, and God, it's like the action's high, you know, and everything. I'm like, dude, you play this thing, you know, and it's gaped apart, but he gets the sweetest sound out of it.
Right.
You know, so it's more
his horn.
Yeah, exactly. And mine tend to be someone wants to. I play with two of those. I have a King Alto. It was the first horn that I got that I play with every now and then. And I have a Yanagisawa soprano. Unfortunately, I can't do it as much because of the MS, but I told myself if I babysit step it and just take what I can do, I can come back. So I went and bought some reeds. You know, the reeds are right next to the pillow that I sleep on, so I have to see it in the morning, and I will get up and start working that out. You know.
Yeah, I have a friend talking about other people's instruments, Reno blues player, and Jason King, great blues artist. Good, kind of friend. I mean, we don't know each other that well, but we visited, you know, and I've been to some of his shows, he's been to mine, and I get up and he hands me his guitar, and I'm not man enough to play his guitar. It's a heavy gauge strings, high action. And I'm looking at him going, how could you do this to me? You know, but I played a couple songs on it. I experienced what he deals with, the way he likes it, and I handed it right back to him. But it worked for him. That's his vibe, man. That's what he does.
Yeah.
And he's very comfortable on it.
Yeah.
You know, and he'd grab mine and say, this is way too easy, way too loose, way too...
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at.
But the challenge of playing a loose guitar, the challenge of being able to have that space to do it like you do it on yours. You know what I mean?
Right. Versus what his hands want.
Sure.
You know, that's his challenge.
Yeah.
Or my challenge on his instrument, probably his challenge on mine.
Sure.
You know, I was kind of like, when you know if you get a new car and you get behind the wheel and you drive, it's kind of funny. And a week later, you're like, it's still normal. Get back in the old car, now this one feels funny. You know, so part of it is what we get used to. Physical memory, you know, muscle memory, what we're expecting when we grab it.
Yeah.
Part of it is just, there's certain instruments that work for you.
Yeah, now I'm to the point where I say, well, let me see what I'm going to get. I no longer, but I don't know if it's because of how I'm living, how the condition I have. I have very few expectations. What I do is I have a lot of acceptance, you know, and when you have the acceptance, a friend of mine, he's a bass player, plays in the Zach Brown band, you know, but he told me something I'll never forget. I told him I was going to Rotterdam, and I said, finally the door opens. He says, my friend, for you there are no doors. You just can go through, and you do that, you know. And that's what I try to do when you have acceptance.
Right.
You throw the doors away, and you just go through.
Do you have a favorite saxophone player?
Gosh, there were three that I really listened to a lot. It was Sonny Rollins, Joan Henderson, John Coltrane, then Wayne Shorter. These were heavily influenced from me. Of course, earlier were Cannonball Adderley and still Austin. Fathead Newman, the thing that was interesting about those players is they had the blues feel. A lot of blues stuff comes from a lot of church stuff, and you know, my dad's side was the Baptist side of the family. They were Baptists, and they had that feel, and that was the same thing with David Fathead Newman. And I said that because he pretty much laid the table, the groundwork for who was influencing me as far as like the music. When I got probably about age 7, we used to listen to a lot of Junior Walker. And then I knew other kids that would say to me, man, you ought to know how to play that song. If you can play that song, you'd be really, good. Because we want to hear that song. And when I got older, I was able to do that, transcribe or just be able to play, get that feel and do that.
Do you listen to those early influences very often today?
I would say yes, I will, because every now and then you have to go, you just go back.
You go back, yeah.
You just go back, and you don't know why, but you just go back in there, and you get the feel of how the people were living at the time. You know, it's another thing that comes across.
Let me ask you, I do the same thing. I don't do it that often, but I go back once in a while. So, 2 weeks ago I went back to one of my very favorite albums, which was the Jimi Hendrix live album. And it's Band of Gypsies. And so, I hadn't gone back to that because there's so much for me to go back to. Whatever I do, go listen to something I used to like. There's so much of it that I haven't heard some of it. I haven't gone back to that spot. So I went back to that spot, and I'm playing a few songs. I found them on YouTube, and it was just the album cuts, no video. It was on YouTube. So I'm just listening on my computer, and I found myself smiling and saying to myself, "Oh, that's where that comes from," because I still interpret that,
Sure.
but I've internalized it, and I don't even think. Though if I listen to back to what I did, I'd say kind of Hendrix, you know, but not in a sense of that's the moment I know that came from.
Exactly.
Does that happen to you?
It does. I remember one time I was playing, we were playing someplace, and I don't know what happened. I forgot the song we were doing, and all of a sudden, we got to this one part in it. And I want to say it was all blues. And we're playing it, and we're just doing the vamp. And I'm like, whoa, listen to this. Listen to what's happening. You know? And people, you know, the guys you're playing with, they're not thinking about this has to happen, this and accounting thing. They're feeling it. And it just seems to be like a stew that you're creating or painting that you're doing. And it's just like coming together. So I went home, and I'm listening to Miles Davis live playing it, and it's that same thing I've never heard before. You know, I was like, either I had heard it, but I wasn't trying to play that, but that feel came. And that moment for them, I guess, was in that live thing about playing all blues, you know. So that's probably the closest I've come.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting how things happen, or how you hear it, or what
know.
it does to you inside, what it makes you feel, what it makes you remember. Or when you to me, when you hear something and you realize you're connected to that piece of music, and
yeah,
and you didn't think about it, you haven't thought about it.
Mm-mm.
It's just part of you.
It is, and it makes me think, you know, that, you know, it's energy, and basically that's all it is. And sometimes energy, we know, recreates. You know, we as people are energy of matter, but that's what we are. And I think who is it? Einstein, his random variable can be any place at any point in time. So that can recreate. You know, at least I kind of understand it, and maybe in this weird metaphysical way, but I do understand how that can come about again. And thus, us playing with the energy that we were doing, it had the same thing that I want to say back whenever they did that, 63 or 62 or something like that. Yeah. So yeah, it does happen.
Do you ever hear songs within songs?
All the time.
And know that, well, as you're playing, it makes you think how another song could fit right on top of that song, that they're similar.
The time. I snatched that. I was playing someplace, and we were like just rocking this thing, and it's in C, I forget what we were doing. And I said, da da da. And the next thing, and I'm going, da da. Da, 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 da. And that's the Dennis and Menace theme song. You know? But I mean, I do that kind of stuff all the time. You know, but it's almost that sense of almost like deja vu or something. We've been here before.
Yes. We
you
have,
know?
haven't we?
Yeah. You know?
Yeah. You know, I play a song by Jimmy Reed, and I do it quite differently than Jimmy Reed, but the essence is there if you look past my style versus his style. And I came to the understanding one day that it was just like Sesame Street, and and so I sing this song and I'll rock this song and I'll be thinking about, you know, I don't know what song he did. You know, I'm doing Sesame Street in my head while I'm playing the song because to me it's the same song.
Absolutely. And you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to listen to Sesame Street song when I leave here as soon as I get out of here. Because I think,
Yeah.
you know,
It's a good song.
It's a real good song, you know. No, but I mean, all the time there's music and music. And there's another thing I always call it a picture of a picture of a picture, you know, inside another picture. And
Right.
they're parts of each picture and each picture that are overlapping. And so, sure, that does that in music. Yeah.
It certainly does.
Yeah,
It certainly does. I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not even just talking about, well, I can play this song and that song. I think this is the same song. It's just slightly changed, but
Yeah.
and then I think you ever wonder how many patents can there be? How many new songs can there be?
Yeah.
How many new ways to change these notes? How many syncopations? How many variations? Because day after day, year after year,
Yeah.
there's something new.
You're right. You're absolutely right. Where it gets really hard, and I think with a generation now who is trying to find it, because they basically steal samples and stuff. I was just talking with when I was talking with Lenny Williams. He was saying that he had written a song where I forget the person's name, and the song kind of like ended up being on the back burner. You know how they take songs they don't use, and they push it out. Well, what happened is some kid came up with this tune and snatched the loop and put it in there, part of that song, not understanding the origin of that song and how it came about. You know, this is a whole piece of music. You know, the whole thing with ADA or whatever that this song was this, but then he takes it. He said, I don't even need all of it. I'm just putting in that. And as soon as he puts it in that, this whole other thing starts to change, you know. But yeah, so I mean, it's hard to come and take stuff and just, you know, say this has never been done before, you know.
And you know what? Even when you have something, this is something new. We just created this. I have a feeling it's been here before. In some way or another.
Yeah.
You just it didn't register with you, or you haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
And you've come up with something that somebody else has come up with. You never know. I mean, there's so many possibilities. But it's really interesting talking to you about that stuff.
Yeah.
You can go on forever just trying to figure this stuff out. And to me, I'll never figure it out. And I understand that. But I certainly enjoy thinking about it.
Yeah. But I'll get on it and write it.
Yeah.
I'll write, you know.
Yeah, I get that.
You know, and that's just one of this beautiful thing to do. That's the thing about music. So you asked me earlier if I take medicine. Don't need it if I have to. You know, this is medicine. This is good.
You have a great way of looking at life, Herman.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I enjoy your spirit.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that. You know, I try to live it. You know, I not only looking at it, I try to live and be a part of it. You know, and it's just doing it. It's really good. I wake up every morning, and I say, here we go. You know, and you don't know what the day is going to be like, but you're going to be a part of it.
And the devil says, damn, he's up.
Yeah. And I say, and I ask him, can I get you anything?
I bet you do.
Can I get you anything? Because we're about to do this.
Yeah.
You know? And it was nice, and today, you know, as hard as it was, but I still hit 21 laps in the pool today. Yeah. You know, I do the best I can. I try to live as much as I can. You know, so I try to play as much as I can.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing.
Give me a hug, man. That's how we do that. Oh.
I look forward to, Herman and I are playing, not to promote the show at this point, but we are playing tonight. When are we playing? What's it? Wednesday today is we're filming.
17.
We're playing in 3 days. First show we've ever done as a show together, and I really look forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be one of the highlights of my musical career. So
Thank you, mine also. Thank you so much.
The Mutual Admiration Society continues. You've been watching the Blues Connection. I'm Matty T. Our special guest, Herman Wilson. And thanks for watching. And until next time. Thanks for watching The Blues Connection. Our guest today has been Herman Wilson. It's been a pleasure, Herman. Thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
And look forward to more music with you in the
Absolutely.
future. Thanks for watching.